I think that, you know, your facility and your ability to get around the instrument and what you're doing are all excellent. And there is a command which I like very much. And I think that the question now is, for me, is how to bring something, the music in a way, in a special form to the audience, and to give them the gift of this beautiful piece. And I think that, you know, as musicians, this is what we are doing. We are bringing a gift from Haydn through us to you. And therefore, you know, we're talking about a master composer who inspired almost every composer who ever lived after that time, who understood the subtleties and the brilliance of writing, and who could write an extraordinary cello concerto, extraordinarily difficult to play. And it's actually, this piece is used as like a test piece for auditions and competitions, because it's, if you can play this, you can pretty much play most things. And the question is how you play it, of course. But I mean, first of all, it's very, very difficult to play, partly because it's so exposed. There's so little going on, and it's so complicated. And the way he writes is almost like he's writing for the violin. It's not even writing for the cello. He's always up the top of the instrument, flying about. Makes it very difficult. And you hear everything. So this is why it's used so often, so that people who've got 20 minutes to hear a cellist and then they have to listen to 25 more cellists, they'll just give them the most difficult thing, and if they can manage that, then maybe they'll get through. Well, of course, now we're not talking about a competition, we're talking about whether you can be expressive and convincing with your ideas, since you can already play it. So that's very important where we move to from there. Now, I think what's interesting about this piece is that D major, which is the key it's written in, this is a very open and bright key. Composers choose the key that they're going to write in because it casts a mood, and of course all the related keys relate to that mood. So if he'd written it in E flat, it would be a different piece of music. If you think about the Bach suites, for instance, as an example, this is G major and it's open. Then you have as D minor. Of course, the key is telling us so much about the music, even just the note, the chord. C major, another open key, but more relaxed. D major it has energy and it's brilliant. It's a brilliant key. But Haydn is so clever because he writes in a brilliant key, which is by no means a brilliant atmosphere or character. So he's so clever that he's using, I think, tragedy mixed with brightness and openness and optimism. The combination of the two is so clever, and it's so what makes, I think, this music so completely convincing is that he knows how to weave these emotions from moment to moment, and how his juxtaposition of the two elements is so clever. So I think that the introduction is kind of really open, and it's like normal, like a symphony overture idea, and then you play this reflection on D major in a different way, in a different mood. And I think this is my view of the piece anyway. I think you have to start these falling phrases so that we feel a tenderness, and then there's every little tiny thing. It's a very delicate conversation. It's a very delicate journey through little tiny ideas. Some of them heavier, some of them lighter. And I think you could be more convincing in this way if you want to go in this direction. Well, you can say what you think, because the point is that, of course, it's not about me explaining how the music should go. It's whether I play the music in such a way that convinces you that my idea is worth listening to. And I'd like you to be more convincing with what you're saying. So you're welcome to try my idea, or you're welcome to try another idea. Mine is just one of 1,000 ways of playing it, and I'm always absolutely delighted and thrilled if somebody comes and plays a piece, or I hear a performance of Haydn D major played in a completely different way, and it's completely convincing. To me, that's absolutely fantastic. I have no expectations that it should be a particular way. But for me, playing it, I feel it in this direction. So now, what do you want to say that's going to convince me? Because I need a more definite decision about what it is you're going to say with the music. So just play me the first phrase, and all right, you can. If you want to say it in words, what do you feel about the music?
Well, it changes quite a lot actually with this concerto, because as we were talking yesterday, it's not like Dvorak concerto. I mean, this is not so direct what's going on. But I try to do it to movement. In the end, this concerto is not another piece. I'm approaching more, try to approach and like kind of present as a concerto.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe it's
so
too much statement all the time. I don't know.
No, I don't think your statement is I think you can make more of a statement. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I mean, of course, the focus is on you, which means that every moment you have to be saying something. You have nobody, well, you have something around you, but the focus is on you. So yes, you're right. But then if the focus is on you, now tell us something really important. Because of course, if somebody stands up to say something in front of the audience and it's not very important, it's like, you know, you've heard it 1,000 times before and nobody's going to really listen to you. But if you're going to say something important, then you have to convince them immediately that it's really important. And, you know, they've paid good money to come and listen to you. So I don't mind, you know, I don't mind what you do. I just would like you to say something which says, this music means this to me. This music has this feeling about it. This is how I feel about the music. That's what a musician does. He explains what they feel about the music. And it's nothing to do with playing the cello. It's nothing to do with playing notes. It's not to do with anything except I have something to tell you. And this is what I'm going to tell you. And if it's not really clear, then your message isn't, you know, then people just get lost somewhere. And they've got to listen to 25 minutes of music. It's got to be jolly interesting. And not interesting, just intellectually interesting, because, you know, we're not here just to learn. In fact, we don't come to listen to music to learn. We come to experience. And we come to listen to a concert and walk away and feel that we will remember emotions and senses and feelings and thoughts, you know, for a very long time afterwards. So those thoughts and ideas and feelings have to be profound. That's what people want from music. That's what we need from music, because words sometimes can be very confusing in their messages, whereas music can be understood and appreciated by each person in their own way, but the more profound the feeling is, the more it stirs them to feel and remember something. So, you know, when I was 10 years old, I went to listen to David Oistrakh play Brahms' concerto at the Royal Albert Hall. And it changed my life. I will never forget a single note of that performance, because he embraced me with Brahms. He literally put his arms around me alone. I know there were 6,000 other people there, but it was for me. It was for me. He embraced me and he said, Robert, just feel how incredible this music is. Listen and feel the beauty and the strength and every note. And Robert, please, here, take this Brahms. It's so incredible. It's so full of love and passion and beauty. And I want you to have it. And I got it. And, you know, I still have it. And I will never forget it. And that's what I would like to go to a concert for. I would like to be given something I will never forget. You know, take one walk through this incredible countryside. It's so utterly beautiful that you never need to forget it. You can just always remember how beautiful it was, even if you ever come here once. So when you play, try to make it so that it's like, well, I think this is so incredibly beautiful. Please have it. Thank you. Good. what I would like you to do, I would like you to contain and take much more care about the way you are feeling the string, the way you are moving the bow on the string. You know, string playing is about a relationship. I mean, amongst many things, it's about a relationship of your movement and your contact to a piece of string. There's not much in it. It's a piece. There are 4 pieces of string and a box. And one piece of string is going to speak for you. It's a vocal cord. So your relationship to that is precious. It's not about, here, just do what I want. It's about, how can I look after 18 inches of wound metal in such a way that it will resonate as a voice. And so your relationship with the string has to be so intimate and so careful. And you're using tools. You're not even actually touching half of it. This hand you touch the string. This hand you have to go through wood and horsehair until you come to this string. It's very subtle and very, you just have to take incredible care about that relationship. If you play, then you get something which is a little abrupt. And I would like to feel that your movements are all about caring. I mean, literally every movement. You know, the string is vibrating like this. Your left hand is vibrating in sympathy with it. The right hand is also moving with the string in sympathy with the resonance of the string. And it's tactile. You need to sense it through your fingertips. As you come and close, how do you close that resonance? How do you make it move out? How do you make it laugh a little bit? Every last movement. Is this open? Is this closed? Now we're dealing with a bigger bit of string. You know, bigger intervals create more movements. Short notes. I'm being so careful with everything, with every tiny movement I make. And I think that if you are more careful, you will get more of what you want. It's a question of what you're thinking about, isn't it? It's a question of whether you're thinking about playing or whether you're caring about... You know, we're looking at in 2 perspectives all the time in music. There's the grand perspective, which is looking at the whole piece. And then the other perspective, which is looking at every tiny detail, every movement, every gesture. We're always looking in 2 perspectives. It's like an architect. I don't know if any of you are architects, but an architect creating a building, will start with an overview, looking from the sky. What is the plot? How much space have I got? How grand is this design going to be? And then they'll decide on a tiny feature from the cornice. In the corner, that little square idea of design. How am I going to use this tiny bit of design to tie the whole building together? So the windows, the doors, the journey through the building, so that it makes one building correctly. It's not a complete mishmash of ideas. And we're doing the same thing. We're looking on a grand scale, and we're looking on the tiniest detail. Look really, really closely, because that will teach you to control everything. And then there will be a freedom, because once you understand the qualities that you need and the details you need, it will dictate to you how you're going to play. You won't have to think all the time, I've got to slow the vibrato down, or I've got to slow the bow down, or I've got to release the pressure, the weight on the bow, and all these things. You won't have to think about that, because you're already creating something. You're already creating a feeling, a sense. So in being creative, it dictates how you are going to use your technique. It's not the other way around. Please try one more time. Try to say something. Try to be really careful all the time. Try to make the music alive. Every phrase, breath, movement, contrast. It's all within your capabilities. It's just a question of finding how you're going to do it. It's a huge challenge. Better. I don't know how you feel in the audience. It's that obvious. So what is it that's going on for you now? Can you say anything about that experience of playing this way just now? Is that how you normally play? It doesn't matter, actually. Just it's a more question of how, we learn from the experience of playing. Nothing teaches you more than playing and finding something. So can you describe it at all, how you felt now, or your approach, or what do you think you were doing differently? Because it's good to know. It's good to know. No, you tell me first, and I'll talk some more afterwards. Can you say anything about it?
First of all, I think when I played first time, especially, I wasn't warmed enough. That's one thing. But also, I was more focused on to perform in a right level, but now I was more involved with the music instead of playing the cello, I think.
Okay, that's a very important. So many musicians come to me and they say, I don't know what to do because I'm so nervous when I play, and I get on the platform and there's all this excitement, adrenaline, and I'm shaking and I don't know what to do, and the first thing is, well, go inside the music, take the music, because that's what you're there for. If you're actually distracted, you're thinking about playing the cello, or you're thinking about who's in the audience or anything, it's not relevant. It's not relevant to why you're there. Why are you there? To play music. So absolutely, as soon as you start to feel the music and you have something to say, you are going to play better. And you don't stop thinking about yourself, stop thinking about everything else, and actually just appreciate the music like you just did, and it makes such a huge difference. And then you can work from that point onwards. What I was going to say was that I think that, the way I see learning is like a loop. When we're studying music, hours and hours a day, and we're, day after day and throughout our lives, but it's the same as studying anything, I think, that, you start to learn something, and you get better at it, and you climb until it comes to a point where you're sort of loaded with information, and with all this conscious information, you stall. I mean, your progress stalls because it's like overload of information, and everything becomes conscious, and all that subconscious part that helps you play gets overloaded. So you kind of stall, and then you have to regroup. You have to start thinking again, and you slow down, and you have to go back over what you've learned. And then gradually you think, well, okay, now I understand why I did this. I understand the purpose of that. And then as you understand it better, you start to go again forwards. And then there's a momentum which is like you've absorbed into your subconscious all the messages and all information, and you start to go forwards again. And then the same thing happens again. You get to a stall point. But it's, to me, learning is like that. And one of the most important things is to recognize where you are, is to recognize that you've achieved something. And once you feel you've achieved something, just to acknowledge it and to say, okay, now what am I going to add to it and go on? And part of the problem for us in music, and it's probably the same in everything else, is that we don't recognize our improvement because we're so busy thinking about it. And that's why I stopped you to say, what can you say about your performance? Because you need to stop. When you're practicing, you need to stop and say, okay, why was that better? What did I do that made that better? And now, what can I do to make it better, even better? But if you just keep practicing and playing, and there's no time to stop and just recover and think about what you've done, then it's very difficult to move on. So my recommendation to all people studying music is to stop and to think about it and appreciate what you've just done, and then say, okay, I can see why that worked. Now how am I going to go on and make things better? So now you felt something, you recognize something. Can you go on to the next passage? And use that and say, okay, now what more can I do? And it's an experiment. You know, you're throwing ideas out. And this is also very important. You must throw out ideas. I've just had a thought, I'm going to do this. You know, I'm going to play this way. You know, I'm going to throw out this idea in this direction. And then I can say, you know what? Actually, I didn't like it so much. I'm going to try this. And then I can say, you know what? I don't really like that either. I'm going to try that. Okay, what about you know, I'm constantly experimenting to see how the music moves convincingly. And then you can, you know, in all directions, throw out ideas in all directions. Be experimental. And then say, you know what, I'll take a bit of that, and you know what, I'll add a little salt to that, and there may be, you know, some paprika as well, you know, and then here we go. And now we're starting to cook. And that's what it is in your practice room. It's about cooking up some mixture which is right for the music and right for you to express the music. And you have to be creative, and you have to be inventive, and you have to be interpretive. You have to look at things and think, well, it could be this way and that way. But if you don't stop and think, you know what, I've done that, now I'm going to do this. And it's a question of being decisive and positive and just seeing. You know, I'll tell you a story. It's a kind of famous story about Casals was in Puerto Rico, I think, and he was practicing, and he had a friend over to stay, and his friend was violinist was doing some concerts there, and his friend got up in the morning and he heard Casals playing. Now, Casals was already 80-something. He'd been playing Bach quite a few years. And I think it was Sasha Schneider. He went off to work, didn't disturb, came back at the end of the day. And he went, Maestro, you know, have you been practicing all day? He said, yes, I'm still searching. That's what we have to do. We have to search all the time for something. And, you know, you can see how complex it is, how much there is to search all the time. And you know, any of those ideas may work, but they have to be understood and they have to be appreciated by you. And then you have to be able to say, yes, this is how it's going to be. And then you've got to move on and change it and improve it, because it is a journey of improvement all the time. Can you play some more? Because I've spoken too much already. Yeah, go on from there, yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm always interrupting, aren't I? Look, this is like, I don't know, the tenor or bass opera singer coming on. And you started with a soprano, yeah? But if they sound the same, then we lost the plot, haven't we? They have to sound really different. And yes, you're playing lower and it's different notes, but it has to make us feel something different. And that's all about the energy and the sound that you create. Good, that's so much better. Okay, that's so much better. Within that, I like to be more careful about the shapes and how the movement is. It's for up. There's a little back again now. Up. Movement. You know, one of my golden rules about music, it must go somewhere or come from somewhere. If it's not going somewhere or coming from somewhere, we're stationary, and that is not a journey. That's just waiting for the traffic light all the time. So take us somewhere and bring us back from somewhere all of the time, even if it's only a tiny bit. At least it's progress. Okay, good. Sorry, it's about the sound. It's all about the sound. If you play this, okay, they're different octaves, but it's the same voice to me. We very quickly get used to what it sounds like, but you have to show us something different. This one was in, and this one, it's a different character because it's a different place in the music. It's a different. Why? It's this question. Why? Why would he write it higher? Why not write the same thing lower down? Why not write the first one higher? Why? Because he's trying to show you that there are different voices, there are different characters. It's so interesting what's going on. This is like a theatre or an opera or whatever you like. That is the reason. Why is he putting it there? In order to show changes and to show that life is not just one thing. So I want you to show me the changes. Why is he writing it here? Right. Another thing that's very important is you're playing a duet now. Before you were playing pretty much alone with an accompaniment. Now you're playing really a duet with the orchestra. And you're playing. Yeah. And you know, when you're playing together, there's a certain kind of security, a certain kind of confidence, which is marvelous. Can you show me that? Thank you very much. Great. There's so much that's improving all the time, which is marvelous. Thank you. I would like also just to say one more thing, which is that one of the ways that you can feel how the music flows is to do what everybody says you shouldn't do, which is play too fast. Because, everybody's, we're told, start slowly and work your way up to the tempo. And I always say, play too fast. Because when you play too fast, you kind of get a bigger picture. You don't get stuck in the details. So it's quite good. Just to feel, what is the music going? What's going on? Forget about the details. Just go somewhere and feel. And then, because then if you play, it feels so boring, doesn't it, after that? So then you say, well, I would like to have the excitement of that movement, even if I don't play too fast. Then you go. Yeah, so then you feel, I want some of the movement I had before and the excitement I had before, but I'm going to have to be very careful to conjure that energy in the tempo that's more appropriate. And that's a good thing to do, I think, actually in everything. Go back to... it's good to play it too fast, because you get a whole new view of it. Anyway, you've done fantastically well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andrew.